Soon find out if this works.
Yeah, when it gets into qualifying, I'll go from there.
Okay, I'm definitely talking. Just need to turn my mic off.
So when we get onto the track, then we'll go from there. Hello everyone and welcome to Spa-Francorchamps here for round 2 of season 8 of the AOR Project Cars GT3 League. We're here at the picturesque Spa-Francorchamps, the greatest racetrack in the world for today's race. We're currently here in Stavelot, Belgium. We've got a 4.3 mile long track, 19 corners with a 70,000 fan capacity. The grandstands are filled. They are packed today for qualifying and for the race. And we've got our first car out onto the track at the moment, going down the Kemmel Straight. Is CJB MX702. We'll quickly run through who is in what car in case you missed us last time out at Imola. We'll also give you the race result and the current championship standings as well. So we've got Nick Nitro in the McLaren 650S. He'll be car number 6. Car number 53 is the Ferrari 488 GT3 of Danny Vidima. We've got C. Fogarty in the Audi R8 LMS Endurance. He's car number 6. Car number 4 is another Audi R8 of Jamie 21. CJB, who we are currently watching heading down, running down towards Huon at the moment. He's in the Ferrari as well. He's car number 72. We've got Sisavuma in the Ferrari as well. He's car number 61. Car number 31 is also a Ferrari of Phoenix. We've got Wallgren in the Audi LMS Endurance. He's car number 82. Car number 28 is another Audi LMS GT3 of Bertacchio. We've got Dev Nibor in an Audi R8 LMS GT3. He's car number 4. Car number 72 is Carl W 1986. He's in a Ferrari 488 GT3 as well. He's partnered with Golota. He's car number 55. We've got another Kaspersky Motorsport car number 55. That is of Javier Quilon. We've got Cryptic in the Audi R8. He's car number 29. And then the final 3 drivers are Holtzman in the Ferrari. He's car number 63. Sapo 01. He's in the Audi R8 LMS Endurance. He's car number 28. And we've got Kung Jarnix in the McLaren 650S, car number 37. As CJB's just about to start his lap at the moment, and he'll be the first car to set a flying lap. So if you did miss us last time out at Imola, the opening round of this championship, Sisaruma took the win. He was followed by Cryptic in second place. Kung Jarnix was in third. Bertacchio was in fourth. Gangmore in fifth. Walter 79 was in sixth. Seventh was Jamie 21. Eighth was Wallgren. 9 was Golota, and 10th was CJB, who is currently on your screens. We are live streaming on YouTube at the moment, and there is a chat icon on the right hand side, so comment as you go along. Don't be afraid to give your thoughts on the race, and we're going to have a very, very exciting race here at Spa-Francorchamps. As I said, the greatest racetrack in the world with some of the most iconic corners in the world as well. Bit of information about the event tonight. So we're going to have a 15-minute qualifying session, which is happening at the moment, before 26 laps, 25 of them racing, one of them with the formation lap with a manual rolling start, and a qualifying time, and the race session times are 2 o'clock in the afternoon and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we are expecting a clear race for both sessions. As you can see, qualifying, it would be amazing if it did rain, because the sun is shining bright here at Spa, and we still have the headlights on the front of that Ferrari 488 of CJ BMX 702. It looks like it's been a pretty clean lap so far. We'll see where there's anything to go by at the moment over what is a good time and what is not a good time. It looks like that no one's been exploiting the track limits on their laps so far either. So we'll see how it goes. We also apologise if there's a slight delay on this broadcast as well between audio and in the audio to what you see on the screen. That should be fixed for next time out, same time next week. And as we head through Blanchimont now, it looks like we're going to get our first time on the board in just a few seconds' time. Is it going to be nice and tidy into the bus stop chicane? I think there's a small lock up there in the background. Doesn't run the car out onto that exit curb too much, swings the car in, gets nowhere near those sausage curbs. Nice open line through the final part of the bus stop chicane. And as we come onto the main straight, here is the first time to beat with 9 minutes left in this session. And it's a 2-minute 27.124. That is currently our one and only lap time, and therefore is our fastest lap time so far. Cryptic looks like he's going to be the next man to cross the line. Second place last time out down at Imola. We've also had a lap invalidated. The first track limit has come into play for Danny Diemer. His lap has been invalidated. We've got a couple of laps now on the board. Sisabuma's taking provisional pole position. He leads the pack by 2 seconds at the moment. What about Cryptic now as he comes across the line? Where's this going to put him on the provisional grid as he crosses the line? And it puts him into 6th place. And he's bumped immediately down to 7th place by Walgren. We've still got half the field or so waiting to put a time on the board, only one of which has been invalidated. So they're all being pretty kind on the track limits. It looks like someone's run wide, actually, out of Bruxelles, because there looks like to be a bit of gravel on the track between Bruxelles and No Name. So I wonder if someone's had a bit of a moment. Could it be CJB? Remember, we watched his lap time. So CJB, it looked like a bit of a steady lap. And the timing screens definitely support that at the moment. We're on board now with C. Fogarty at the moment. He's just in the middle part of the lap, currently going through the campus chicane as he comes down towards Stavelot now. We've got 11 times on the board. Sisavuma still holds provisional pole position as it stands at the moment. So we'll just have to see what happens from here on in. Here comes Fogarty then. He's thundering down towards Blanchimont at the moment. I love this track. This track. If you've never been to this track, this is definitely one to go to. Whatever series it is you go and watch, this track really is incredible to watch racing cars put pedal to the metal. And here we are then. Fogarty into the bus stop chicane then. Gets nice and close to that sausage curb on the inside of the bus stop. It looks very neat and tidy. Doesn't run too wide on the exit though. And across the line he comes. And where is this going to put him? It puts him into P12, 8 seconds off the pace. We've got an invalidated lap time for Nick Nitro. We've actually got a new provisional pole sitter though. CJB has put in a thunderous mega lap, second lap. We said that we did say that we wondered that his first lap was a bit steady, and that one certainly was a lot better. And it looks like Fogarty did exactly the same thing, in fact, with a slightly steady first lap. And look at that, CJB beats Sisavuma by less than a tenth, 9/100ths of a second. Brilliant time. We're watching Carl. Oh, we've got a spin for Carl W 1986, and he goes straight into the pit lane. Spins it at the top of Lecombe. It looked like he clipped the bollards, and the back end just would not live with it, and around she went. So he's going to put new tyres on, refill the car, and have to go out again. This is one of the longest tracks in the world, so he won't want to be hanging around in the pits too long if he wants to get new tyres, refueled, and then back out for an outlap and then 2 flying laps. 6 minutes, 38 seconds left on the clock. We've got a Ferrari in the background warming its tyres up down the Kemmel Straight. We're watching Danny Vidima now at the moment, yet to set a time. In fact, I believe he's actually had another invalidated. No, he hasn't. That was Nick Nitro, had 2 laps invalidated shortly after CJB took provisional pole position, as I think that Ferrari in the background of the Kaspersky Ferrari, the number 55, knocked a couple of bollards over going through the final part of Le Con at turn 9. Sadly, we don't. Our timing screens don't actually give us any live timing, so we're just going to have to go on whether we think it's looking like a good lap, and it isn't looking like it's a good lap, because they both run wide through Pouon, and straight into the garage goes the Ferrari of Danny Vidima. Sisavuma now. What can he do? All he's got to find is a 10th. Surely it cannot be that hard to find an extra 10th. Surely there was a corner maybe on that first flying lap that he perhaps didn't get right just the way that he wanted it. We've got one car in the pit lane at the moment. Everyone else seems to be out on track at the moment. And it definitely looks like there's a bit of gravel there on the exit of Bruxelles that's littered on the track. That will compromise traction. There's an Audi R8 flying through Pouon as well. Right, Sisavuma. What are the track limits like? Very touch and go, but no time has been invalidated as of yet, as there's a bit of a break-up on the camera there. Now we're coming into the campus chicane. There's a few bollards there that get very close to being knocked over, and there are actually a couple that have been as well. Very close on the track limits there on the exit of campus, but again, keeps it nice and in the track limits. And this is what I mean about the track limits. Push it to the limit. Push it to the white lines again. All 4 wheels not over the white line, so it's good enough for now. Sisavuma then, pushing like crazy as we head down towards Blanchimont. 9/100ths of a second, that's all that's got to be found. There's still 4.5 minutes or so left in the session at the moment. Coming down towards the bus stop chicane, the number 61 Ferrari 488. Nice and tidy again through the bus stop chicane. No clunking of the curbs. Someone, I think, may have had a lap invalidated. We'll get confirmation of that soon. Sisavuma, though, comes across the line, and it's provisional pole. He didn't just find 1/10, he found an extra one as well, and he takes provisional pole with just 4 minutes left in the session to go. And there was a lap time that was invalidated for Javier, so his track limits have been, he's exploited the track limits too much, and he has had his time invalidated. Here is Cryptic at the moment, down in P12. A podium last time out, not where he wants to be. Look at the times, though. Massive field spread at the moment here at the circuit of Spa-Francorchamps, as very much pushing the limits up the top of Eau Rouge and over the top of Radion for Cryptic. This is looking like he's going to be one of them really, he's definitely pushing. This isn't an outlap or an inlap at the moment. But as I said, the field spread, gap between first and second, and 10th. Third place, Kung Jarnix, 1.4 seconds off the pace. Then there's a gap of 2.2 seconds, 2.4 seconds, then 3.1, 3.5. There's a nice little gap in the battle for 6th, actually, because the gaps between 6th and 10th is nothing more than 0.6 of a second. So that's a battle and position that we'll be watching eagerly over the next 3 minutes or so. Cryptic then. No invalidation of the lap, didn't push the track limits too much out of no name. Coming now towards Pouon, turn number 12 on this track, fling the car in, hit the apex, the back end, looks like it didn't really want to live with that though through Pouon, but it's all right. He keeps it on the track and keeps it within the track limits as well. The track limits, you know, they're really strict, they're really tight. You don't want to be pushing out of the track limits too much at the moment. And as we come in towards the end of the middle sector, he'll get a good indication on his own HUD how good the lap is looking at the moment. And I think he's backed off. He is. He's 1.2 seconds down on his best delta and really didn't push to the edge of the track on the exit of Stavolo. And it looks like he may have just backed off in that middle sector. And we'll go again. There's 2 minutes left in the session, so maybe that's the idea. Be one of the last men over the line. Here is CJB then. He's missing a 10th. We said this about Sisavuma. Surely there's a 10th out there at the moment. as Bertacchio's had a lap invalidated for track limits as well. He's currently in P6 in that really over the 6th place position. Right then, CJB MX, he will get another lap if he wants to have another crack at it. He will get one more go if this one isn't good enough. Has he got the fuel and has he got the tyres? We'll see what his first lap time is like. At the moment, though, Sisavuma is in the pits, so Sisavuma thinks that his 1:17.7 is all but good, and CJB goes into the pits. It is all over for CJB, and it looks like Sisavuma is going to get pole position here for round 2 here at Spa-Francorchamps. All of the top 5 are in the pit lane, along with Wallgren in 13th place. So it is now all about the battle for 6th. Here's Carl W, 1986 then, thundering now towards Blanchimont, out of the Curve Paul Frere. What can we expect now through Blanchimont? Where's this time going to put him? He's currently one of 3 drivers not to have put a time on the board at the moment. Gets very close to the track limits on the exit of Blanchimont. Coming now towards the bus stop chicane. Where is Carl W 1986 going to put this? He has had his, I think he's had his lap invalidated, in fact. So it will be, if he has already had his lap invalidated, he will get one more shot as he comes across the line. So track limits becoming a big issue. But that lap wasn't one that was invalidated, though, because he goes into P4. Great lap time from Carl W 1986. And if you have just joined us, the commentary is slightly out of sync at the moment. We do apologise for that. Qualifying is complete then. We've got 160 seconds on the clock. There are still a few drivers out there who are yet to set, who are still on flying laps, I should say. 2 drivers have not set a lap time, and they will not be setting a lap time. They're both in the pits. And it looks like the top 3 might be all but settled as more cars start to drop into the pits. But Carl W is still going for it, in fact. He moved himself up to 4th place, and he's still pushing now. One of very few drivers still out there at the moment. And can he improve? He only needs 2/100ths of a second to get a 3rd place grid slot then, to be in the top 3 for the race. So, and he will of course be on the clean line as well if he does get onto the second row, onto the third grid slot, I should say. And it is very tight actually. There's a big gap between 2nd and 3rd, and then it's kind of a bit of a big gap between 6th and 7th. But it seems like the race pace is more important to these guys than the qualifying pace. But of course we've got 25 racing laps, as we saw in Imola. Qualifying pace doesn't mean everything. Right then, Carl W 1986, what's this middle sector looking like as he comes through Stavolo now? He has found a whole second for Carl W 1986. Could he be set for pole position if he can find another 3 or 4 tenths of a second in this final part of the lap then? Through Blanchimont we go now. This is going to be interesting. Is this the pole lap right at the end of qualifying here? 63 seconds to complete the lap. There's only him and Kung Jarnik still waiting to set their final lap times at the moment. So into the bus stop chicanes, throws it in. Right, what's this going to be like now? Track limits on the exit, nice and tidy, pushes it quite nicely. And as across the line, Carl W 1986 goes, it's not good enough for pole, it's good enough for 3rd, missing 2/10ths of a second. He's the last man who'll be setting a lap time, and I think he's run out of fuel just across the line. And it's Sisavuma on pole position. CJB will be 2nd, and Carl W 1986 will start the 2nd race of the season from 3rd place on the grid. And the top 3 ended up being pretty tight in the end, and Sisavuma and CJB will be relieved that their gamble of retiring before the end of the session paid off nicely. As we're just watching the Ferrari now as we count down, and qualifying timers have now expired. So Sisavuma has pole, CJB MX702 is 2nd, Carl W 1986 is 3rd, Sapo 01 is in 4th, Kunjanix is 5th, Nick Nitro is in 6th, Bertacchio 7th, Jamie 21 is in 8th, Phoenix is in 9th, and Fogarty rounds out the top 10 for now. Wallgren is 11th, Javier is 12th, Cryptic is 13th, Walter is in 14th, and Danny Dima is in 15th. Both Walter and Danny did not set lap times through invalidations. We're now getting ready to go to the grid. So, the longest track on the calendar, it's going to be a long formation lap, it would seem. As we wait for the drivers to ready up, just sort their race strategies out, sort their setups out. And Sisavuma, starting from pole position, can he take his second win in succession? 2 in a row. Dominated last time out in Imola after a few DNFs, gave him a commanding lead. In fact, he won by over a minute, 1 minute and 11 seconds. So, can we repeat that? I hope we don't have a gap for the lead as big as that. I really want the close fight that we had for the majority of the last time out in Imola. And if we get a close fought battle around this track for 25 laps, I think we can all go home feeling very happy with ourselves indeed. And we just wait now for the formation lap to start. We've got 26 laps on the clock, but the first one is, of course, the formation lap, and we will have a rolling start. So then, the circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. What can we expect here today? From just over 7 kilometres is this track, 19 turns, 7.004 kilometres, 4.3 miles. The actual lap record around this track, we won't break it with the GT3 cars, but the lap record is currently a 1:46.577. That was set by Sebastian Vettel in this year's 2017 Belgian Grand Prix. And we still wait for the cars to make their way on the formation lap. And it looks like we're all syncing up now. Right then. We wait for the lights to come on, and Sisavuma will lead the field away to start this formation lap. Still waiting, and there we go. We are underway here at the circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for round 2 of season 8 of the AOR GT3 season, and it will be Sisavuma who leads the field away. CJB in second place, Carl W 1986 is in third, Sapo in fourth, Konjanix in fifth. That is your top 5. Quite a few cars with headlights on. We are starting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon with progression set to ×2 as well, so it looks like we might be heading off into the early evening here in Belgium. And we're currently in the cockpit view of Sisavuma at the moment. As we've just gone up Eau Rouge onto the Kemmel Straight, not going too quickly down the Kemmel. 12 stories is the height between the base of Eau Rouge and the top of Radion. So, and believe me, I've walked it. It is steep. It is very steep indeed, and you wouldn't want to be running up and down it too much. Thankfully, we've got a nice powerful engine which will take all 15 drivers, hopefully all 15 drivers, up there at the end at the start of the first lap. And they're all running pretty much nose to tail at the moment. Interesting that some of them are running with the lights on at the moment and some of them not. I suppose if you run with the lights on from the start, you will not forget to turn them on. I doubt it makes much difference in the daylight anyway, from the driver's perspective, but it is a weird one to see cars with their lights on in the middle of the afternoon. We're currently about a third of a way around the track at the moment. As I said, 7 kilometres long this track. It's going to be a long formation lap, and they are taking it pretty steady at the moment. And they're all warming up their tyres as quickly as they can, get the heat in them. You don't want to work the tyres too much, actually, in the opening part of the lap. You know, being such a long track, will be the last part of the lap where you really start to get heat into your tyres and brakes, because if you work them too hard, you'll damage the tyres, and you don't want to damage the tyres. We've got someone going quite wide in Pouhon there, actually. Someone's pushing maybe a bit too hard trying to get the heat into their tyres, doing the exact opposite of what I was just talking about. I'm not quite sure which car that was, but someone running wide through Pouhon on the formation up. Bit of a weird one to see cars pushing like crazy on the formation. Oh, someone's in the barrier. Someone is in the barrier at Campos, and we've got a few cars glitching around. Someone else is in the gravel. What has happened there? Is it just lag? We're not too sure. We have actually lost a car from this race, so someone has crashed on the formation lap and is out of this GT3 race here at Spa-Francorchamps. I'm not too sure who it is. Not too sure at all. But we are down to 14 runners then. Before we move back to the front because we've got a race to start. And as it turns out, they're back in the pack up now. It's just when is he going to launch this? When is he going to go? It's not quite a safety car restart. But obviously he's happy with the heat he's got in the tyres, in the brakes. And of course, will having to start from pole position actually be a disadvantage going down the run towards Eau Rouge, and then the same going up over the top of Eau Rouge and down the Kemmel with the slipstream? How powerful is the slipstream going to be from these GT3 cars? We're about to find out, because round the bus stop chicane goes Sisavuma, and we're about to get underway here at Spa-Francorchamps. Who's going to be risking to make a move into turn 1? Down at La Source, we're getting ready to go racing here at Spa, and away we go, and it's a good launch there from CJB. Is he going to have a look in towards La Source? No, he doesn't. He goes around the outside. There's a few cars going side by side, it looks, in towards turn 1, but we stay in fact with the leaders running down towards the base of Eau Rouge. It is Sisavuma who leads the way from CJB, and he's right in the slipstream, tucked up, nose to tail. They've dropped third place of Sapo. In fact, Sapo's got past Carl W 1986 over the top of Eau Rouge, the leaders. They're all running wide over the top of Radion. In fact, loads of cars getting it wrong, and I think Carl was another one that ran wide. What about the battle for the lead? Sisavuma stays to the left-hand side. Out of the slipstream comes CJB, and he moves up the inside and takes the lead here in Belgium. And as I said, is pole position a curse here in Belgium? It looks like it is, because CJBMX 702, Mr. 10th in qualifying, takes the lead now here in Belgium. And it didn't take us very long to have a change in lead. So what now? What now for these two up front? CJB will just want to extend the gap, pull away. Can Sisavuma stay with him? It's like we were a week ago. CJB leads the way, and Sisavuma's going to have to try and stay right behind him. Look at this battle that we've got here. We're currently watching 7th place Bear Takio, but the battle isn't just for 7th. It's for the cars just in front. He's got Javier in front of him with a bit of a train. Good start for Javier. In fact, he's up to P6 at the moment in that Kaspersky Ferrari. What about this Audi R8 then? What can Bear Takio do? It looks like he's dropped Phoenix a little bit, who's under pressure from Carl Fogarty. Can't really overtake into this part of the track. Oh, you don't see many moves into Stavolo. What about now then? We come through the exit. Look at that, Javier running extremely wide on the exit of Stavolo. As now we come through the curve of Paul Frere. These lot all in the slipstream. You know, these are the early stages. These are the times to make your move. You only, when we watched in Imola, we saw it a lot. When you get up right behind someone, the best time to overtake someone's when you first get there, because that way they don't know what you're going to do. They don't know what you're going to try. What about now? He's going to go up the inside as the bus stop chicane is Bear Takio. Will he get left space by Javier? He'll have the outside, but he clunks over the sausage curb, and that's going to allow Javier back in. Are they going to make contact on the exit? They do, and both of them don't come out of it unscathed. Bear Takio carries on, but Javier lost a lot of time there as the back end kind of moved away from him, and it looks like now he's going to lose out to... It looks like he's definitely going to lose out to Phoenix here, but he holds on through La Source. Down towards Eau Rouge we go. We got Cryptic running wide on the exit of La Source. There's so many of these cars are making moves or trying to set up moves. Down towards Eau Rouge we go. He pulls out as if he's going to try and make a move up Eau Rouge. Backs out of it. Thankfully, that could have been a massive accident. All he has to do is wait, but it looks like the Audi R8 of Bear Takio ran wide over the top of Radion, so that could compromise him. But luckily for him, Javier's under pressure, and out of the slipstream moves that beautiful yellow Ferrari, and Phoenix tries to make it work up the inside but gets completely cut off, and he's off the track, he's onto the grass, and he's spun. Phoenix is round and somehow isn't getting wiped out by cars who all managed to dodge him. For some reason he's not quite in camera shot at the moment, and that has all gone terribly wrong for Phoenix. It looked like he was going to move himself into 7th place. He's ended up dropping himself well down the field. The leaders are still separated by 0.8 of a second, as they have been for the last ever pretty much since CJB took the lead. So it looks like that Sisabuma can stay with our race leader at the moment, which is good news. Here's Sapo then, currently in P4. He's got Carl W1983 in front of him, who's managed to actually get back past after losing out on the start, and it looks like Kung Jarnix is able to live with them as well. So we've got a nice little battle for the third step of the podium at the moment. It looks like Phoenix has dropped down into 12th place at the moment, which is a bit of a shame. While these guys all run within a second of each other. In fact, Kung Jarnix is a little bit closer to Sapo than Sapo is to Carl. So if Sapo has got more pace in that McLaren at the moment, now's the time to show it and see if he can get himself past the Audi and then chase down Carl in that Ferrari. Three different manufacturers all going for the third step of the podium here then, as we start lap number 4 for these guys. And it looks like out in front, CJB is just extending that lead slightly, 0.4 of a second or so on that lap. And in fact, it's still extending as they go down the Kemmel Straight. So I wonder if Sisabuma has made a mistake at the top of Eau Rouge. Anyway, back in the battle for 4th. I feel like the slipstream is quite powerful here at Spa from what we've seen in the opening 4 laps or so. So I do expect to see a move if both these guys can keep it clean at the top of the hill. It looks like they both just about have. The McLaren weaves from left to right, doesn't really know which way to go because the overspeeds so much. We see the Audi defend down the Kemmel Straight now. What of the McLaren? Can he just about get ahead into the braking zone? Yes, he can. And Sapo loses out to Kung Jarnix. He's moved down to 5th place. And what can Kung Jarnix do now? Can he get off after Carl in the Ferrari? Because he started to pull out a bit of a lead. As these two, they weren't even really battling, so it looks like Sapo doesn't have the pace to live with Carl in 3rd place. What about Kung Jarnix? Does he now have the race? Oh, and Sapo runs wide on the entrance to No Name. That'll cost him time. Bit of a clumsy mistake there. Luckily, he didn't put it in the barrier, so he'll keep going. So I wonder if Bear Takio can close up to the back of Sapo now. The gap's around 6.2 seconds, and of course with that mistake it would close up a little bit on this lap. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that at the moment. Lead out in front, in fact, has come down, so it looks like Sisavuma's just turning the wick back on to close up to that gap as they're just heading through Curve Paul Frere at the moment. They're still very much close together, and yes, that gap, it's just hovering around a second. It was as high as 1.4, was as low as 0.8, so nice medium there for Sisabuma at the moment. Not sure if we're going to have any pit stops in these 26 laps or so. So it's all about biding your time. Can't win the race in the first few laps, but you will most certainly lose it. And I think Sisavuma's just going to bide his time for now and see where we get to. At the moment, it looks like one of the closest battles we've got at the moment. We've got a bit of a field spread already. We've already got a car that's 8 minutes off the pace. I wonder if that was the car that we lost quite early on. And we've got, why is Cryptic? Cryptic on the timing tower's got a red number next to him, so I wonder what's happened to Cryptic there. He's currently 3 seconds off the pace of Bear Takio. So, as I said, close battles at the moment. They're all running within a couple of seconds of each other. There's a few field gaps. It looks like the closest battle is the battle for the lead at the moment. Here's Cryptic then. I wonder if he's got a problem. Because the timing tower had his number in red. Nothing to suggest it was for invalidating a lap, but he seems to be running just fine. 3.5 seconds off Bear Takio. 6 seconds behind him is Walgren, so we'll see what happens. See what's happening there. Carl Fogarty's down to 13th at the moment, 1 minute 23 off the pace, not good for him. And he's the furthest away from anyone else at the moment. We've got the whole field. Incredible, isn't it? After only just 5 laps, 12th to 1st, the gap's 36 seconds. Just shows the pace of the front runners at the moment. And you can see it in the fastest laps at the moment. CJB comfortably the fastest man on track. And that battle for the lead has in fact been extended to 2 seconds now. We're currently watching the 9th place Audi R8 of Jamie and Phoenix. Chasing him down, just a second between them, but right behind them is the man who started from the back row of the grid, Danny V. Deemer. He's up to 11th place then, helped out by a few incidents along the way. Phoenix, of course, recovering from that spin early on. Cryptic's name still in red as well on the timing tower. Phoenix then, we know he's got the pace to be a bit further up the field. We know he's got the pace to battle for around 4th, 5th place. He's very much someone who is out of position at the moment after that spin. So what can he do? What is his pace like now? Has he damaged the tyres too much? Hopefully he hasn't damaged the tyres too much. No mechanical failures on for this race, so it looks so he won't have damaged the gearbox or the engine by spinning it back around, by flooring it. So that's all good. Right then, he's under pressure from Danny V. Dima though, so maybe there was some damage that was done to that car, because Danny is all over the back of him. 0.3 of a second is the gap as we come down towards the bus stop chicane. Is he in fact going to think about making a move into the bus stop chicane? That'll be something to watch out, and Jamie 21's not too far ahead as well. That gap's come down to 0.5 of a second, so they're all closing in on each other at the moment. Will the Ferrari make a move? He does pull out into the bus stop chicane. Oh, and Phoenix spins again, smashes over the sausage curb, keeps it out of the barriers and keeps running, and in fact overtakes both of them. But of course he's got to get back up to speed, and it looks like he just locks the rear tyres up into the bus stop chicane, and incredibly hasn't lost any time at all in that. How badly has he damaged the tyres? And that's his second spin in 6 laps. Not good at all. And Danny Redeemer's right on the back of the car in front now of Jamie 21. So now, could Danny Redeemer just about to move himself into the top 9? He's got himself up into the top 10 with that spin. Over the top of the hill we go. He's not that far back. Is the slipstream going to be powerful enough to take him past the Audi? What's the top speed of that Ferrari like? It's looking good. It's looking good now. Down the Kemmel Straight, he gets well into the slipstream. Will he pull out? Yes, he does. Down the inside, into the com, and he gets the move done. The Audi has to tuck him behind, and all of a sudden, in the space of just a sector of this racetrack, Danny Vidima moves himself up from P11 to P9, but he's still having to defend because Jamie is all over the back of him. Into Bruxelles they go. Has to just keep him behind. Best time to make a move now, probably the best overtaking opportunity he's going to get now, is going to be at the bus stop chicane. Be a brave man to make a move down into Campus or into Stavolo, and an even braver one into Pouon, but they stay pretty much single file. We're now watching A. Walgren at the moment try and chase down Bear Takio. These guys, there's about 7 seconds clear of Danny V. Deemer at the moment, who's just, as we saw, moved himself up into 9th place. P10 at the moment is Jamie 21. But what about A. Walgren? Right behind, tucked up behind at the moment, 0.6 of a second. Can he set up a move down the car? Still watching us live? Put in the chat, who do you think is going to win this race? The gap at the front has come down to 0.6 of a second, flittering between 6 and 9/10 of a second. So that is one that we're still keeping an eye on that battle. So let us know who you think is going to prevail in the battle for the lead. Back now for this battle. Bear Takio down in 7th place. A. Walgren in 8th place. I think Bear Takio's lost a couple of places, in fact. I'm pretty sure he was running higher than that at some stage. No move was made or attempted into the bus stop chicane, so it looks like it's very much about setting it up down the Kemmel Straight. They are still pulling away from Danny Vidima, despite the fact he's made that move up into 9th place. Out of La Source we go then. The 2 Audis battling it out. Down towards Eau Rouge, Radion. What can we see? What can we expect? The fans in the grandstand start to stand, start to cheer. Up through Eau Rouge we go. Up we climb. 12 stories we go. Now onto the Kemmel Straight. I don't think he's close enough. He's 0.8 of a second behind. He'll get by the end of the straight. It might be close enough, but it'll be too late. Closing and closing, and he's just way too far behind. So not a good run out of La Source or up the hill. Means that he cannot make the move just yet. Shame. I thought it looked like he was setting him up for half a lap, but it just didn't quite happen. Here's the battle for the lead then. Back down to 0.6 of a second, and look at that. Carl is catching them as well. So while these two sort of just go nip and tuck, battling the timesheets at the moment, Carl W1983 is starting to catch them. That gap's at 3 seconds now. He's pulled out a huge gap to Kung Jarnitz in 4th. I reckon we could see him move for the lead here, because he's tucked up right behind him, 0.3 of a second. CJ BMX 702 under immense pressure here from the number 61 Ferrari. Through Blanchimont we go. Will we see a move into La Source? It looks like that. I'm still not so sure that the bus stop chicane, I should say, is the best place to make a move. But we're going to get one anyway. They're going side by side. I'm pretty sure of it, into the bus stop chicane. We can't quite see where the second. He's overshot. CJB overshoots the bus stop chicane. He'll have to give that place up. He'll have to give the place up to Sisavuma, and cracking under pressure for the second week in a row is CJB MX702, and once again a mistake under pressure hands Sisavuma the lead of this Season 8 race. While this is happening, Carl W 1983 is closing up by rapid, but he's absolutely rapid. Is CJB, though, has that mistake actually going to allow him to hold on to the lead? Because up through Eau Rouge we go. He's right up behind him. He's going to get a mega toe down the straight, but he's run wide over the top of Radion. That might cost him severely now. Down the Kemmel Straight, he's too far behind, and it looked like the mistake might present itself an opportunity, and in fact, a second mistake means it won't. And CJB MX702 has to sit in for second at the moment, keeping one eye on his mirrors because Carl is coming. And we have a lead, so we have a lead change here. The gap between first to third is down to 2.1 seconds at the moment here on lap 8, and what an incredible 8 laps we've had so far. Fourth place, Kung Jarnik seems to be in a bit of a world of his own, as is Cryptic in fifth. He's been joined by Sapo with the red number on the timing tower. But yeah, everyone else seems to be quite spread out, although Sapo is just a couple of seconds behind 11th place at the moment. This is where the best battle on the track is at the moment then. So Sisavuma leads the way then from CJB MX702 by 1 second now. So he's already starting to stretch the legs of his Ferrari now. Pull out the gap. It's all about timing. When you get your timing right and your overtake, use the pace that you've got to your advantage. And we've still got plenty of laps to go. What can Carl do now? The gap between him and the lead has gone up to 3.7 seconds, and that's still extending as they run through Blanchimont. But the gap to CJB is pretty much the same, if not still coming down a little bit. So, as he runs wide through Blanchimont, bit of a commentator's curse there maybe. Can he now take P2 away from CJB? We've seen that he can crack under pressure, so if he can get behind that Ferrari, it's a Ferrari 123, and I think it's his teammate as well. If he can get right up behind the sister car, maybe he can force the mistake and move himself onto the second step of the podium. He's only got 1.8 seconds as he does like the rear tyres up a little bit out of the source, but the gap is still coming down, although that mistake will have cost him slightly. So these are the three that look set for the moment at least to be on the podium. I'm pretty sure we did lose. I'm not sure which car we lost. I think it was Walter that we did lose on the formation lap, because that car is yet to set a lap time and is 16 minutes off the pace. So it very much seems like we've lost 2 cars maybe from this race. Maybe we lost one during qualifying, which is a shame because it looked like we were going to have a bumper field today. We're already down to 13 actual runners. Carl Fogarty I should say, in 30. Oh! Carl W 1986 drops it in Bruxelles. We said he was pushing to catch CJB. It looks like he's pushed too hard, because in Bruxelles he's just half spun it. He's run wide, kicks up some dirt now through No Name, and it's all just gone a little bit scrappy and a little bit messy and a bit frustrated in that Ferrari at the moment. He was going so well, but luckily, although he's lost about 4 seconds or so in that half spin, maybe even 5 seconds, the good news is he's still got plenty of laps left in this race to close the gap back up. So it's not the end of the world at the moment. It's clear that he's got the pace advantage at this stage of the race. So it's all about using it again, and he should be able to close back up to the top 2. The lead now out in front, it's up to 2.5 seconds. Kumjanik still sitting pretty in 4th place in a bit of a world of his own. What's the next closest battle then? It looks like it's the battle for P7 with Bear Takio and Danny V. Dima. That gap's come down quite a lot actually. We saw Danny V. Dima move past Jamie, and that gap was around 7 seconds or so. So it would seem that Danny Vidima is still continuing to catch Bear Takio at the moment. The gap's around 4 seconds. In fact, A. Walgren's just up the road as well for Bear Takio. So while Danny continues to close the gap, Bear Takio is also pushing to try and move himself up into 6th place. And we'll see what he can do. Who else? What other close battles have we got on track? There's another close one, in fact, down in the battle for P11. But we'll stick with this one for the time being. What can Walgren do then? Can he just push the lead out? Can he keep the lead? He doesn't really have to extend the lead out too much, to be honest, because at the moment we only need, it's a manageable gap to Bear Takio at the moment, and we'll keep an eye on the times of Danny Vidima as well, just in case. But yeah, through the third sector at least, it looks like the gap between Bear Takio... Oh, spin! We've got a spin for Walgren, and Bear Takio takes that place. Oh, and he almost wipes out Danny Vidima as well, who would not have been expecting that on the exit of La Source. Somehow they miss each other, and yet again we see another car spinning in this race, lit the rear tyres up out of La Source, and Walgren loses 2 spots there. And he is down into P8. So Bear Takio's up to P6. Danny Vidima, who started in last place, is up to P7 now. He's having a great race at the moment, is Danny Vidima. And now that might bring Jammy21 into play here. See what pace he's got compared to Walgren. And it's another mistake that we see from another driver. We're over a third of the way through this race at the moment. The gap out in front is still around 2.5 seconds, so it has stabilised a little bit now. Oh, and another spin. It's Danny Vidima this time, and in fact he hands the place back to Walgren, and I'm not sure if he hit the barrier there on the inside of Bruxelles, but even still, he didn't have P7 for very long, because he's back down to P8. I don't think he's lost as much time, but the real winner out of all of this is Jammy21, who's closed up a treat to the 2 cars now in front of him. Danny Vidima will be kicking himself, absolutely kicking himself for that, because he got the move. Well, he'd done so well to avoid the spinning Walgren on the inside of La Source, and now he's had a spin himself, so he's back down to P8. He's got Jammy21 right behind him, and right behind him is Sapo as well. So we've now got 3 cars all converging on P8 at the moment. Walgren as well, not too far up the road. Of course, with these couple of spins, Bear Takio now in 6th place has pulled out a little bit of a gap over these guys. And it all seems comfortable at the moment. Right then, Sapo, what have you got in the tank? You're 1.5 seconds behind Jammy21. You're all closing up. What pace can we see? Oh, and there's a mistake for Jammy21. That's going to put Sapo right on the back of him now, down in towards the bus stop chicane. Can he keep it neat, keep it tidy in this opening part of the lap? The back end spins, and we see another spin. And Sapo is the latest driver to light the rear tyres up in a traction zone and face the wrong way. A commentator's curse, isn't it? Absolute commentator's curse. Oh dear. And so Sapo didn't lose a position out of that, stays in P10, but crucially loses valuable time, lost 6 seconds in that spin to Jammy21, who is currently 4 seconds behind. It looks like Danny Vidima's right back on Walgren's tail. That gap's only around 4 seconds at the moment. 4 seconds behind him is Jammy21 as well. Closest battle is still the one out in front, which is Sisavuma leading the way by 3 seconds now to CJB MX702. So Sisavuma just keeping it neat, keeping it tidy, pumping in the lap times. Although he doesn't have the fastest lap of the race at the moment. That goes to Carl. He's currently, his best lap is a little bit quicker with a 1:19.663. Then it's CJB with a 1:19.9, and then Sisavuma with a 1:19.9. Those two separated in the fastest lap charts by a mere 3/100ths of a second. He's just commanding this lead at the moment. It's just a commanding lead. It's only 3.5 seconds, but he's extending the lead with each lap, with each sector. And he's sitting pretty at the moment. He's got the pace. We saw that for pole. what else he got left in the tank? It looks like Carl, after that spin himself, hasn't been able to really make much time on CJB. That gap's still around 5 seconds, which is a bit of a shame because it looked like he was catching him quite comfortably. What else have we got? Oh, there's a car, another car spinning. That's Sapo again with another spin. This time it is going to cost him a position. He's down to P11. This time he's spun it out of campus. And we are seeing cars spinning quite regularly now around in the last few laps or so. Quite a few of them are lighting the rear tyres up. I think it's just, again, another traction zone. And around she's gone. So Sapo dropping places at the moment. That promotes Javier up into P10. Danny V. Dima, he's still gaining. We've got a car in the pits. Jamie 21 is in the pit lane. So we will be seeing a few cars pitting. Danny V. Dima follows him straight into the pits as well. Will Sapo go in? No, he doesn't. So we're currently watching Jamie coming in for his pit stop. How good is the stop then? He's still in the box at the moment. It looks like they're probably fueling the car up. Tyres are changed. And we still wait for that car to go. Only 2 cars have come into the pit lane. These 2 are now the bottom 2 runners on the timing tower. And he's still in the pit lane. This is a long stop from the number 4 Audi R8. And away he goes. So the Audi of Jamie is out. Will he repass Danny Redeemer in the pit lane? Let's see if we can find another close battle then. It probably is either the battle for 9th or the battle for the lead, which is coming down a little bit, if not stabilising around 3.5 seconds. In fact, it's gone up with the live timing. Danny Redeemer then does get ahead of Jamie 21, stays ahead. But the gap between them is nothing at all. In fact, 9/10 of a second. So, brand new tyres, refueled. Time to strike, I think. Keep it on the track, though. Consistency is probably more important at the moment. Although we haven't lost as many cars as we did at Imola, we've probably seen just as many spins so far. And if you are just joining us here, we're on lap 12 here at this second round of Season 8 of this AOR GT3 League. Sisavuma leads the way. The race winner last time out leads the way from the pole sitter last time out, CJB. But this time it was Sisavuma who got pole, and he currently leads the way. Carl is in 3rd, Kungjanis is in 4th, Cryptic is in 5th, Bertacchio is in 6th, Walgren is in 7th, Javier is in 8th, Sapo is in 9th, Phoenix is in 10th, Danny V. Dima is in 11th, Jamie 21, who we're on board with at the moment, is in 12th, and then Walter is out of this race, as you can see. Although he's still on the timing tower, he has yet to set a lap time because he crashed on the formation lap down at turn 14 campus, and he therefore is 25 minutes off the pace because he's not in this race, and we've been going for 25.5 minutes. Right, Sisavuma still extending the lead, although, as I said, it had stabilised around 3.5 seconds, which is roughly where we are at the moment, although it is just about to clip into the 4-second barrier. Not sure whether we're going to see them pit. We have seen some of the guys, a couple of guys come into the pit lane, but there is no obligation to pit. You can go lights to flag without stopping for tyres and fuel, if you are good enough at saving your tyres and fuel. So, oh, Nick Nitro's disconnected. Nick Nitro has disconnected. In fact, I think we haven't seen him in this race, so maybe that was one of the cars that we lost between qualifying and the race, but he is now officially disconnected and is therefore out of this race, and we're down to 13 runners now. Sisavuma then still leads the way. The field is really starting to get spread out. We've got a nice battle actually for P8, Sapo and Javier. There's not much separating them, I don't think. We are watching Sapo. Yeah, 2 seconds is the gap between them at the moment. So we'll stick with this battle for a while and see what Javier can do then. Sapo's had an adventurous few laps. Yeah, it must be said, with a few spins down at Bruxelles and down at the bus stop chicane. But he's in P8, even still with those spins, thanks to a couple of cars moving off into the pit lane. So, and it looks like he might actually be extending the lead over Javier, because that gap is around 2.5 seconds now. So, although he's 9/10ths down on his best time so far, he is comfortably leading the way. And something's happened out in front, because the gap for the lead has... I think the CJB spun. I'm pretty sure CJB's had a spin, because all of a sudden he's dropping. He's losing time, hand over fist at the moment, because he's down in 3rd place. And he's currently 20 seconds off the lead, and he's got going again. What has happened to CJB? Because he's now 20 seconds off the lead after being just 3 seconds behind Ciceruma. What on earth is... He must have had a spin somewhere. I think he's hit the barrier as well. He's hit the barrier horribly. The front left headlight is smashed, and he's understeering like crazy through poo on the bonnet. At the front of that Ferrari is crippled, bent and crunched. He's had contact with the barrier. I'm trying to think, well, where could he have hit the barrier? Unless maybe he's lit the rear tyres up, out of Le Con, and speared straight in, nose first, into the tyre wall, and had to reverse out of it. Either way, whatever has happened, that is hugely costly for him. 21 seconds down on his best time. We said he lost a hell of a lot of time. I saw him drop down the timing screen. Will he come into the pit lane? Can they fix this damage in the pit lane? We've got someone in the... I think Phoenix may have come into the pit lane as well. We'll stay with CJB. The car's pulling to the right. I think that's part of the problem. So it looks like he's damaged the steering arm as well in that Ferrari. Drama here, as the man who was leading this race in the early stages has got a lot of damage. And he does come into the pit lane. He does pit. Hits the wall as well on the entrance to the pit lane. That's going to cause a bit more damage, and it's so painful to see here. The beautiful Ferrari damaged at the front. Right, will this damage be can they fix this in the pit lane? He's conceded 3rd place to Kung Jarnix already. Will Cryptic be far enough back to make hay of this? So Ciceruma, for the 2nd week in a row, has been battling for the lead with CJB, and yet again it looks like CJB may have just cracked under the pressure, and now he has a commanding lead over the 2nd place car of Carl W. And CJB still in the pit lane. He's down into P6 at the moment. If they can fix that car, get it back out on track, we might see some incredibly good racing, because he's the 2nd quickest car out on track at the moment so far in this race, if they can get him back underway. But he's still in the pits. So if they can't fix that damage, it might be game over. But he's out of the pit lane. He has rejoined the track. So he's down in P7, 3 seconds off A. Walgren. Let's go get him. Let's see some overtaking. Let's see some racing. We're on lap 15 of 26 here. So we've got plenty of time. Oh, and he runs wide over the top of Radiant, cold tyres and all. So let's go. Let's see if he can get himself back on the podium. How far off the podium is he? He's about 40 seconds off the podium. But in the first 15 laps or so, he did have roughly a 30-second lead over Kung Jarnix, who is in 3rd place now, who was in 4th. So it's a big ask, but it could be doable. And they have fixed the damage on that Ferrari. The bonnet is still crippled and dented and doesn't fit properly. Doesn't fit properly on the top of the engine. But they have fixed the headlights, so hopefully that's fixed any steering damage that he's had, and bring him back into play. And let's see how far up the field he can get. We'll keep an eye on his lap times then for the time being. And what I did say the fastest laps were earlier, turns out they were just the last lap times. So I do apologise for that. So what a dramatic race we've had here at Spa-Francorchamps. Let's see then. So he's already catching Walgren. He is catching him hand over fist. So whatever damage was done, if they fixed it, it looks like they fixed it enough anyway to chase down 6th place. So we'll stay with this battle for the time being. So if he can catch Wallgren, which it looks like he's doing quite comfortably, not comfortably, but handsomely we should say, he's then got about a 10-second gap to make up to Bear Takio, then another 10-second gap to Cryptic, although he's made a mistake into the bus stop chicane, shows how much he's pushing, but he had brought the gap down to 1.5 seconds on the exit of Blanchimont. So the pace is there. It's all about refocusing now, getting the head back into gear, getting back into the rhythm, and off you go. And that's not what we want to... That's exactly the opposite, as he almost spins it, saves it nicely, but lit the rear tyres up out of the source and nearly, ever so nearly half spun the car. It was a great save, but he's just got to put the 2 mistakes that he's had so far behind him, refocus, redial in, and I think Wallgren's had a moment of his own up the top of Eau Rouge, because the gap has come down quite a lot and it shouldn't have done. Right, down towards Le Combe they go then. Will CJB be able to pull out and make the move? No, he can't. He has to sit in behind for now, but he's right on the gearbox. 0.2 of a second is the gap, and again the Audi makes a mistake. The Audi's got a problem and the position is gone, and CJB moves up into 6th place. Has the Audi got a problem? It looks like he's up and running again. I wondered if he might have a puncture or something, but no, all seems to be okay again. So 2 mistakes in 2 corners cost A. Wallgren the position. And as they come down towards Pouon, can he stay with him? That's what it'll be like, because we know that CJB is going to probably catch up to Bear Takio. He's got the time to do so. He's got 10 laps to do it, a second a lap, and he should be able to. So we shall see. The gap out in front between Carl and Sisavima is still 9 seconds. I think Sisavima has just stopped pushing, just keeping it consistent, keeping it nice and easy. Oh, and Wallgren spins. Wallgren spins on the exit of Stavelot. He joins the list of drivers to have had a spin in the opening 16 laps. And well, I said let's even keep it nice and tidy, keep it neat, and move up through the field with CJB, and that plan goes through the window. The commentator's curse has struck me quite badly tonight. I've never had it strike me like this before. Saying drivers, can they do this, can they do that, and then they're spinning. So I might be getting a telling off after this for saying you jinxed me. So we'll try and move back on board with CJB in a minute, but it looks like Sapo is closing the gap to Wallgren now. With that spin, the gap is around 1.5 seconds. So what is the pace of Sapo going to be like? And so yeah, the gap for CJB to Bear Takio is 9.5 seconds. So we'll see if he can chase that down. We'll go back to the battle with Sapo, because that seems to be the closest battle on the track. Just a little note for the lead as well is that Carl had briefly brought the gap down to around 8 seconds, but Sisavima just extends it back out. Right then, Sapo, what have you got in the tank to get past Wallgren? Wallgren definitely seems to be struggling at this stage of the race. The gap's down to 0.6 of a second. Down the Kemmel Straight we go. The Audi is gaining, the white Audi is gaining on the red one. I don't think he's going to be close enough into Le Combe. Has to back out of it, but he's currently on his best lap of the race, 0.2 up on his personal best, but he's going to get stuck and held up through the rest of Le Combe. That red Audi is struggling. Wallgren is definitely struggling at the moment. He must have picked up some form of damage, because through Le Combe especially, that car does not look drivable at all. Through Bruxelles we go then. So it's just not really anywhere to get past. How good is the run through No Name? How good a run can he get? Because would he be able to get close enough down in towards Pouon? Doesn't look like he's going to be close enough. So it's all going to be about trying to set him up for the bus stop chicane. Although he's had a great run through Pouon. He's had a brilliant run through Pouon, and they're side by side as they come down towards the campus chicane. He's going to have to try and go around the outside. That's brave. They bump each other through the middle of the corner, and he has to sit in behind. There was definitely contact, which is why the move couldn't be done. He now has a look up the inside into Stavelot. Can't quite make it work, and has to sit in behind. as they come towards the curve to pull for air, and just to show how much he's been held up, he's lost 3 seconds on his personal best lap time, or the lap time that he was on. And then through towards Blanchimont we go. It's being squeezed. Is he going to try and force it up the inside? That's going to be brave. The dirt gets kicked up. He has to move to the outside now. Through Blanchimont we go. Still in behind. A. Walgren. Will he make a move into the bus stop chicane? Will he throw it up the inside? On the brakes we go. The inside gets covered. He goes to the outside, trying himself the inside line for the second part of the bus stop. Has to sit in behind. And as we come onto the pit straight now, they'll start their 18th lap of the race. Will he make a move into the source? I don't think he will, but he is going to have a little look. Let him know he's there. He does go for it, in fact, and he gets covered off at the apex. But I'm pretty sure he's had a much better exit, in fact, and he has. And I think he's going to get the move done before Eau Rouge. They're going side by side as they head towards Eau Rouge. Who will back out? One of them's got to back out. Sapo is the one that lifts, and they do not go side by side through Eau Rouge. It might cost him in the long run on the run down the Kemmel, but I don't think it is actually. He's still 0.3 of a second behind, and he's gaining in the slipstream. Down towards the come they go. They're weaving down the straight, trying to break the slipstream. Really throwing up the inside into Nakam. No, has to sit in behind, but he's still stuck behind. A. Walgren, he's doing some brilliant defensive driving, but he's run wide. He's run wide, and now he's going to try and sweep around the outside. Will he get forced off into the gravel? There's not a lot of space there. He has to sit in behind still. Into Bruxelles. Will he try and sweep around the outside? He's going to get shoved out wide again. It's on for the position, and Sapo has to settle for 7th place. We're battling over 6th place. It's one of the best battles for 6th place that I've ever seen. As we come down towards Buon, brilliant defensive driving from A. Walgren, and he's definitely struggling for pace, definitely struggling with the handling of that car by the looks of things, but still he fights and still he holds on for the time being. And in fact, I think Sapo has lost a bit of time. It's all about, I think he's going to go for it, this sort of tactic now of trying to line him up either into the bus stop or down the Kemmel straight. Those are your best 2 overtaking spots to make it work. And I wonder if he's regretting lifting going through Eau Rouge. One of them had to lift. If they both wanted to make it through the corner, it might have been an epic overtake, one of the best overtakes we've ever seen. But more than not, it was going to end in disaster. In fact, he has dropped a bit of time. The gap's 0.7 of a second as they head into the braking zone for the bus stop chicane. Right. Oh, and I think Walgren made a mistake, but it doesn't matter because Sapo dives into the pit lane, whacks the barrier on the entrance to the pit lane as well. So that might have done some damage to the side of the car. And we're watching Danny V. Dima here under pressure from Javier, but also I think he's been lapped. He must have been lapped. I think that's one of the leaders just in front of him because the gap to Sapo being the car in front is around 2 minutes or so. So I don't think the car in front of him is for position. He's got Javier right behind him though. And he will pass Sapo in the pit lane at the moment. It must be Sisavuma that is ahead of him at the moment. I think that's right. I might be wrong, but we'll stick with it. What can Javier do then? The gap's around 2 seconds, 1.5, 2 seconds. And it is Sisavuma, yeah. So Sisavuma is lapping cars at the moment. The lead is around 10.5 seconds, so just controlling the pace as we said. It's been another brilliant display, but commentators, it strikes again. It honestly strikes again. I would say he's comfortable in the lead. He runs wide over the top of the hill, and it might put Danny Vedema at the back, onto the back of him. But I think he'll just sit in behind. The easiest thing to do, given that they are not battling for position. And Sisavuma is currently lapping around 4 seconds a lap quicker anyway. Where did Sapo rejoin? According to the timing screen, Sapo in fact rejoined ahead of Danny Vedema and all of that. So interesting stuff. So he did in fact stay ahead. I didn't think he would. He's only actually conceded 10 seconds to Walgren after going through the pit lane, so it must have been a splash and dash. It wasn't a long pit stop like we saw earlier on. So 7 laps. Can he catch Walgren? He's already bringing the gap down to around 9 seconds. In fact, that gap is coming down quite quickly. So I wonder if Walgren had a bit of a problem while he pulls away from Danny Budima in all of that. We've just hit the 40-minute mark of this race as well. And it looks like, for the time being anyway, unless something dramatic happens, Sisavum is going to take his second win of the year. We haven't spoken about Carl for a long time. He's in P2. Still just... he's around 2 seconds a lap slower now, it would seem. As Walgren now comes into the pit lane. Walgren's hit a barrier because another headlight has been smashed, damage to the front of that Audi. This could be a long, long pit stop. And I'll tell you what, Sappo is going to be lapping this up if he knows... he probably doesn't know that there's damage to the Audi, but he will jump him in the pit stop phase now. So Walgren was struggling, and it looks like he's hit a barrier, or he's hit something. As the change of tyres go on, Sappo does move ahead and up into 6th place. So does Danny Budima. He moves past the Audi R8 as well, and he's falling down the field. He's in P10 at the moment. Will Phoenix get past him? Phoenix, remember, who was battling up in the for a top 5 at one point, down in P11. He's definitely had a dramatic and a disappointing day as we watch the number 82 Audi come out of the pit lane, and it looks like it'll still be a top 10 finish if he can keep it on the road. We're currently down to 12 runners, so we have lost another car from this race. But yeah, so, oh, and we've got a nice battle shaping up here. Javier right on the back of Jammy 21, and they're still battling for it. That could be a bit nipper. Oh, he hits him! He hits him and nerfs him straight into the barrier at Lecom. Jammy 21 hits the barrier hard, but he's still going. To be fair to Javier, he gives the position back. But how much damage has been caused to the back of that Audi? The front of the Ferrari looks okay, but he just rear-ended the Audi into Lecom, and the damage on the back of that Audi was nothing cosmetic anyway. And I wonder if Javier's damaged that Ferrari because he's dropped a couple of seconds back, in fact, in all of that. I wonder if he's damaged it. I think he might have done. But that was certainly dramatic. They were very close going down the Kemmel straight. And it looks like he had to back out of it. And yeah, the gap is extending despite smashing. He hit the barrier hard. How that Audi's still in one piece, I don't know. But the handling of that Ferrari all of a sudden does look a bit off. Maybe that's because we know it's just had some big contact at the top of the circuit. But he's definitely losing time. Hand over fist, I reckon he might come into the pit lane. I'm pretty certain now that Javier's going to come into the pit lane. The car's understeering a little bit, it's pulling. So I wonder if something's happened there. I thought it was going into the pit lane there. Sisavuma then continues to lead. The gap's come down to around 9.3 seconds between Carl and Sisavuma. I don't think he's going to be fretting too much, to be perfectly honest, because with just 4 laps to go, he's got it all under control. Someone who we haven't spoken about a lot today is Kung Jarnix in P3. Very good race. He's 47 seconds off the lead, but a podium all the same. And yes, Javier does come into the pit lane. With that damage, it's not a surprise. As here is Kung Jarnix. Very, very good race for the McLaren. Podium at the moment. And in fact, it'll be his second podium of the season, because he got a second place out last time at Imola, and this time he's going to go one better. Oh no, he's not. He's still in 3rd place. So it'll be two consecutive 3rd places, which will be good for him. Cryptic in 4th, another good race after a poor qualifying. Won't quite repeat the magic of the 2nd place in the last race, but all the same, he's still going. And I've just worked out who we lost. When we dropped down to 12 runners, it looks like we did lose Carl. So for the 2nd race in a row, he was leading, and it looks like we've lost him again. Here is Cryptic in 4th place at the moment, comfortably ahead of Bear Takio in 5th, as we just start to close out this race. The gaps are all pretty big. between the cars. What's the closest gap that we've got? I think it might be Sapo and Danny Vidima. Or, no, it'd be Jammy and Danny Vidima in the battle for 7th and 8th. The Cryptic might not make the podium this time, but I think he'll still be fairly satisfied with 4th place. But either way, I'm sure he'll be pretty satisfied coming back from a poor qualifying. So, Danny Vidima, 3 seconds ahead of Jammy 21. 20 seconds away from Sapo, so it's all about consolidating P7 in the final few laps for him as he comes through Blanchimont now. And what have been some fairly nip and tuck racing. They've all, especially some of these down in the midfield, they've had some fairly interesting races. A few spins, a few bits of contact here and there, but all the same, comfortable, and entertaining all the way as we close out this race. Who's been your driver of the day? That's what we want to know in the chat while you're watching. Put in the chat who has been your driver of the day. Who do you think deserves the driver of the day award? Just for fun, bit of a quick vote, and we'll see who you think. Certainly, I think Danny Vidima will be up there starting from the back of the grid to P7. He did have that spin. Or is it your pole man, Sisavima? Even though he lost the lead at the start, he's battled well to get it back up. Here is Bear Takio in P5, 10 seconds off Cryptic. Let's see if he can start to hunt him down just a little bit. He's well clear of Sapo, 35 odd seconds. And on that last lap, he was nearly 2 seconds faster than Cryptic. So, with 4 laps to go, he might need a little bit more than that. But if he can keep that pace up, it might get a bit close indeed. And if Cryptic starts seeing the times drop like that, it might start to pressure him into a mistake. And Bear Takio is the one that makes the mistake on the exit of the bus stop chicane. Again, we see another car light up the rear tyres. Just kept it out of the barriers. And there goes any hope of a P4, and it will be about bringing the car home and in one piece as well. That was pretty close. That could have been a bit. That could have ended his race right there, just a few laps from home, which is not what he would have wanted. He lost about 3 or 4 seconds in that, which was a shame for him. Out in front, Savima has extended the lead to around 11 seconds now, about 9/10 or so of a second quicker on the last lap. And he's about to start lap 24 of 26. And yes, so we've got a couple of votes going to go for driver of the day. Probably Sports Sim Racing says Sisavuma for driver of the day. Well, I think he's definitely one of the favourites for driver of the day because he's had a very good drive. Even though he lost the lead, it was a good pole position. Did lose the lead, but it was a good move. Forced the mistake from Carl. No, not from Carl, from CJB. And has looked comfortable ever since. And the pace has been very good indeed. Electric pace. And he's comfortably been the quickest car out on track. As we start to close up here in Belgium, not too long to go. I thought we might have hit night by now. It looks like we're just going to miss it. We're in the late evening now, so nightfall will not fall just yet. Here is Carl W 1986. In fact, he's another one with he's had a very good race. Again, lost a position off the start, battled back onto the podium. Looked like he might catch second place of CJB for a long time. A spin put pay to that, but with the contact for that Ferrari, he did move up into second place, where he has stayed ever since. Let's see if we can find another battle, a close battle to close out this race here in Belgium. It'll probably be doing when Jammy battle for 7th still, probably the closest one that we can get our hands on. As I think we're going to go and see now. So 3.6 seconds, 3 laps to go. In terms of lap time, I suppose Jamie's 21 was 0.5 of a second quicker on the last lap. Is going to need a little bit more than that per lap if he's going to have a shot at a 7th place finish. But we'll see what he can get all the same in the last 3 laps. So let's see how clean, neat and tidy this is into the bus stop chicane for Danny Redeemer in that Ferrari. The number 53 Ferrari, and the commentator's curse strikes again. It is, he does make a mistake into the bus stop chicane, so maybe the battle for 7th place is not over, because in the background is that white Ferrari. And the gap is down to just under 3 seconds now, with just a couple of laps to go. 3 laps including this one. So what can he do? The gap's 3.5 seconds or so. What can he do? I think he had his own moment on the exit of La Source, because the gap was 2.5 seconds over the line, and all of a sudden it's up to 3.5. So I think he might have had a bit of a moment of his own on the exit of La Source. So, but this is the closest battle that we've got on track at the moment, and you can see his victim in his sights at the moment. But I don't think he's going to be quite close enough by the time the 26 laps are over and done with. Although quite a bit of dirt gets kicked up there. We're on board now with Jamie 21. The eyes of the world are watching. Don't spin it. Whatever you do, don't spin it now. As we're coming through 9A now, we'll get a good sense for the undulation of this circuit, in fact, because if you haven't been to this track, you'll probably get a good idea from the television that it is quite a hilly track. But unless you've been there, when you go there, you realise how steep some of these hills really are. And this track is, of course, in a bit of a valley. As you can see, the trees and the Ardennes forest surround it in the middle of nowhere, to be honest, in the middle of Stavelot, which is ironically the corner that we're just going through now. So Jamie 21, what's the gap at? It's still around 3.5 seconds, so matching the pace it would seem so far of Danny Redeemer, despite a mistake for Danny in the bus stop chicane on the last lap. Sisavuma, in fact, I think is on his final lap now at the moment, so we'll move over to our leader and just see where he is on the track. He's just started his final lap, in fact, so we'll stay with him to the end. He's still pulling out the lead out in front over Carl W1986. He was at 0.4 of a second quicker on that last lap. The pace from him has been really consistent as his lights are flashing going down the Kemmel Straight, probably just warning the Audi in front, hey, I'm the leader, don't hold me up. But the pace has been good, consistently in the 119s, the 120s for the entire 26 laps. It's been another stellar drive, another consistent drive, and he's going to firmly keep himself at the top of the Drivers' Championship. No one can seem to challenge him at the moment, it would seem. It's been a slightly closer affair than it was at Imola. He isn't going to quite win by 1 minute 11 seconds. But this time we'll just be dropping the minute. It's still going to be quite a dominant win for Sisavuma. 12 seconds is the lead. He's still pulling away from Carl as we close out this race here. And we just wait for him to complete the final few corners, the final sector of this race. Through Stavelot we go, still pushing, 0.7 down on his best time though, it would seem. But I don't think he will care all too much. Through Blanchimont then, just a few corners to go for Sisavuma, and then he will have his second win of Season 8 of this Apex Online Racing GT3 season. Through the bus stop chicane we go. He started on pole. He may have lost the lead at the first corner, but he battled to get it back. And Sisavuma will cross the line to win here in Belgium. It's his second win of the season. It's 2 in a row for him. And we now wait for Carl W 1986, who makes a mistake at the bus stop chicane, clunks over the curbs. But it doesn't matter. It's been a strong performance. It'll be a second place for him. He gets his first podium of the season. Kung Jarnix now. We wait for him. He's a little bit further back, 45 odd seconds off the lead. Got a podium last time out in third place. He's going to finish on the podium again. That will probably move him up into second place in the driver's standings now. So maybe he will be the man to challenge Sisavuma in the coming races. But at the moment, it looks like no one can quite stop him at the moment. The man who's been able to get close to him in qualifying and in the early stage of the races has 2 DNFs to his name so far. Kung Jarnix then through the bus stop chicane to claim his second podium of the season, his second third place. It's another really consistent drive from him. Very good drive indeed. We now wait for Cryptic. It's not going to be the stellar second place that he had last time out, but it's still a good recovery from a poor qualifying. There's a car off just in front of him as well. That is a lap runner. I think it might be Javier. Cryptic crosses the line then. He will take P4. We wait for Bertacchio now because he's the man running in 5th place. Sapo is in 6th. Danny V. Dima is in 7th. Here is Bertacchio, in fact, now just about to cross the line. And he will officially take 5th place. Sapo will be in 6th. He's currently just heading towards the bus stop chicane. Danny V. Dima in 7th. Jamie in 8th. A. Walgren in 9th. Javier in 10th. Phoenix in 11th. And those will be the guys that... And those are all the finishers of this race. And here is Danny V. Dima now. Just in the final part of the lap. He's not going to get to see the checkered flag because the race is about to end. The timer has expired. But he will still be classified all the same. So here are your results then. Sisavuma is in 1st place. Winner again. He won by 15 seconds from Carl W 1986. Kung Jarnix is 3rd. Cryptic 4th. Bertacchio in 5th. Sapo in 6th. Danny V. Dima in 7th. Jamie 21 in 8th. A. Walgren in 9th. Javier rounds out the top 10. Phoenix in 11th. And then the non-classified finishers are Walter, CJB and Fogarty. Which is a shame for those 3. We'll see you, though, in a week's time. Thank you very much for joining us. Shout out to the cameraman, MPCV1, for being your cameraman today. I've been Mr. F1 Radio, your commentator for today. We will see you in a week's time here for the round 3 of the Apex Online Racing GT3 Season 3. So until then, we'll see you around, and goodbye.